yourself ready for an interdimensional sensory experience. Welcome all to the dimension of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. This is the 5D Podcast.
So hello there and welcome to the 5D Podcast, brought to you by Stuart and Zack from 5D-blog.com. If you listen to us live on Twitch TV/5D blog, then welcome. And of course, welcome to those of you on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn and Stitcher. Be sure to check out the 5D-blog.com website for blog articles, competitions and news. And of course, check out the 5D YouTube channel, the details for which can be found on the website. Hi, Zack.
Hello.
Hiya. How are you doing?
I'm good. We've got a very special guest today.
We have a very special guest today who's playing with his screen at the moment to try and make sure everything's okay. Yeah, we've got something very special from across the pond, from in New York at the moment. If I can read out a little bit of the Wikipedia bio, so obviously totally correct. Born October 10th, 1975, American actor. He was co-director, co-writer and lead actor of the 2013 Heartland Film Festival award-winning movie This Is Where We Live. He was awarded Best Actor at the Breckenridge Film Festival in 2016 for his lead role in the film Reparation. He has been a regular on the TV screen recently, 2019 in The Sinner, 2018 Ozark and Manifest, and most recently as Big Bad Jack in The Outsider in 2020. So we've got Marc Menchaca, who's playing with his screen still at the moment.
I finally got it plugged in.
Running out of juice.
Yeah. Good to chat with you guys.
Yeah, man. How are you going? Are you doing all right?
I'm doing all right.
You doing
Saturday morning coffee?
Oh yeah, because it's yeah. I mean, it's for those that are unaware, we were going to be doing this later today, but you've had to kind of bring it forward a wee bit because you've got to run for work later on and stuff. So it's 10 o'clock for you. It's about 3 p.m. for us, so we're kind of a bit more civilized. You know, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
So how's life treating you at the moment then? Busy?
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. I've been out in LA for I was out there for about a month. More on a love mission than anything, but I had some meetings and some good ones.
Yeah.
And, now I'm touching base back home for a second.
So
before I head off again.
What's life like at the moment? Because it must be a bit crazy at the moment with The Outsider, I guess, or maybe it's not. I don't know, but you know, judging by, because we put on a few Facebook pages, a few of the Outsider pages, the fan pages on Facebook, that that we were going to be talking to you, and we asked people to come up with a few questions and stuff. And man, we've been inundated. We've had, you're a popular guy out there. There's a lot of interest, you know. And quite a lot from you know
from the ladies.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, apparently a lot about commenting on, you know, saying, "Oh man, he's hot," and it's just like, which I don't know about you, Zack, but I don't see that myself. But you know, it's just it's like, oh man, you know, but a lot of questions and a lot of interest, a lot of stuff. Before we talk about The Outsider and everything, how did you get into the acting in the first place? Because you're originally from, is it Texas originally? So
Yeah.
was there a kind of background there in acting, or was it something you just kind of, I don't know, stumbled into?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't act when I was growing up. I was just, you know the show Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
So that was basically like my growing up. It was based on our rival team. So it was it's like football country out there, and
Right.
American football country.
Yeah.
And I played sports, and I kind of had I had a little, I had an inkling that I wanted to do some theater, but it wasn't a cool thing to do, and I didn't do it. And then when I was in college, it was kind of after I had seen Dead Poet Society, and I remember movie specifically, and I'd done this thing with like a hypnotist that I didn't get hypnotized, but I was like, I can do whatever
Yeah.
he says, and it's okay because I had this very it's very much it's kind of in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Whoa. And sorry, something popped up on my screen. And I was like, well, I can do whatever I want, and it's under the guise that I'm hypnotized, so I can do anything.
Yeah.
And it was, and then I just remember the reaction from everybody, and it was, I was on stage doing stuff that people were laughing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuck with me. And then I just started trying to figure out how I was going to go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I've been aware of you obviously for a little while with Ozark and obviously The Outsider, and we've seen a few other things as well. You seem to play, I don't know whether or not this is just by chance or whatever, but you seem to play a lot of kind of damaged characters, Is that just is that coincidence, or is it sort of roles that you're kind of attracted to, with people that have got a little bit of baggage? Darkness, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. I am attracted to those kind of characters. It's, it usually gives me quite a bit to work with,
yeah.
And to kind of go into places in myself that you don't want to go into.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of said it's kind of like some sort of masochism, because I like to torture myself.
Yeah.
A little. But I really enjoy it, and if I'm being typecast as a dark character, I'll take it, because they've fortunately been some fun and interesting roles that I've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, is it a sort of role though? I mean, that you find a problem maybe? Do you take it home with you? Are you kind of are you a kind of method actor where you just have to stay in it, or do you find once you've finished, it doesn't matter how dark the character is, that you can leave it behind? I mean, what's it like when you leave these characters behind?
I wouldn't say I completely leave it behind when I go home, but Jack was especially he was a tough one.
Yeah.
Because there were things that I just I couldn't. There were days that I couldn't function with other people really, just because I needed to stay in a certain headspace.
Yeah.
And all I'll say is I remember the last shot of the series that I had.
Yeah.
I had to, I was saying goodbye to all the crew and everybody. We were kind of saying, just starting to leave everything behind, and I got to the trailer, and there's a bit of a purging process for me. I wept for a while.
Wow. Okay.
Just letting Jack.
Yeah.
Letting it go. And in a weird way, I didn't want to let that go, but I knew it was when it's time.
Yeah.
And I was sad to let him go, but I was also happy. It was it was such a great little journey that we got to take on that show.
It's interesting that you say you kind of like purged it at the end, because I can't imagine. I've never acted, so I wouldn't know, what the process is like in terms of but I can imagine just going home to friends, family, or whoever, dogs or whatever, and still having that mindset. It must be a weird thing to carry around for months and months, and the outside it would be months, wouldn't it, that you were filming? So it's a long time to carry that.
Yeah. No, it usually takes a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm able to parse it and deal with it on my own. But yeah, the letting go is when you find, I don't want to really get into the whole process of like how I work, because then that kind of demystifies it all.
Yeah.
There's parts, you find areas and people in your life that mean a lot to you that you may not have known.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some kind of, I'm grateful in a lot of ways that I am able to find these places.
Sure.
But it's also there's a sadness of letting it go.
Yeah. I mean, before we talk about, because you mentioned the outsider there, obviously, and Jack, and obviously we really want to talk to you about that. There's two things I want to talk about very quickly, if that's okay. And two things which are kind of, well, one of them certainly not stereotypical or stereotype sort of acting or whatever. I read a story that you were in the 2004 remake of The Alamo. Now this is a weird thing, and you're laughing now. So am I right in saying what I think happened with your part? Do you want to explain with your part what happened when you actually went to see the film, or when you saw the film? Was it?
Yeah. Well, that was really. I mean, that was the first. It wasn't the first thing I had done, but it was. It was
oh
the biggest,
man! Oh god! So that's even worse then.
And I didn't have any contact with anybody from the film afterwards. And I went to the movie and I was like, we're not in this thing.
Oh,
but there was one part where I was the fifer.
Yeah.
And there was this one shot where I'm practicing the fife, and then it was close up, but that was it. It was all gone.
You still got paid though, right?
The film wasn't that great in the end.
What was that? What was that you said, Zach? Sorry, you said, was it?
I was saying you still got paid though, right? Even if they cut you.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually. I mean, that was the first thing you knew about it, because I didn't know that. I thought you would get told or something, but so you went to see the film. Were you with family, friends, or whatever, saying, "Come on, my part's coming up now"?
Yeah, I was fucking about it. Like, well.
Oh man.
It was funny in the end.
In the end,
I didn't. I mean, not that I thought that anything was going to really come of that.
Yeah. But even so, it's one of your first big parts, and you know.
I mean, the most embarrassing thing was, like all my family and friends knew they'd gone to see the movie, and just I was like, all of them are going to be like, he didn't make the cut.
At least you can laugh about it now. At least it kind of you can look back and it didn't kind of crush you or anything. Another thing as well, which is, I saw this the other day, and I don't know how I came across this. Because I was doing a bit of research and talking to you, and somebody said, there was an interview where you'd appeared in a music video, and you were dancing in this music. So I thought, I've got to watch this. Honest to God, man, I'm not kidding you. I must have seen this now about 6 or 7, 8 times since I first saw it 2 days ago, and it's great. Honestly, I'm not taking the piss. It's great. It was for the Lone Bella for their song "Time's Always Leaving." You look to be. I'm laughing because you just look to be having the time of your life with this. Tell us about this song and how you came to do it and the experience of it. 'Cause it's great. It's great.
Well, those guys they've been friends of mine for
right,
a long
okay.
time. I've kind of followed their career, and they wanted to do a video, and so I ended up writing this. I wrote the treatment for the video.
Okay.
But I wrote it with like Bill Murray or somebody like that in mind.
Yeah.
Like an older guy, and like a week before we were shooting, they were like, "We're not getting them. They're not going to do it."
Right.
So you have to do it. And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." Tried everything in my willpower to not do it, and then finally I succumbed, and it was a lot of fun. It was an incredibly long. We started at like 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Because we had to have the Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
somehow I don't know how we got that to happen, but we did, and yeah, and then we put the song on, and I would dance the whole way through.
Yeah.
We did that for about, it must have been 12 hours.
Oh man, again and again and
like
again.
Quite the cardio.
I was falling on the ground. Like there were points where I would just like collapse on the ground and yell, "All right, we're gonna start over." And now I do it at. I go see their shows as much as I can, and they always ask me to come up for that song, and I'll go and dance with the band. And a few weeks ago, they started a new tour in LA when I was out there.
Right.
It was the first shows. First night I went up and danced, and it was just me. And then this is the first time this ever happened. The second night, I mean, the energy in the place was off the charts. And I went up and I started dancing, and then it ended with people just started jumping on stage and were dancing. Zach and I were looking at each other like, all right, and, here we go. And the stage was packed with people. It was amazing. We were like, if people feel free enough to get up and dance, then
go for it. Yeah.
That's the thing.
If anybody does want to see them, it's the Lone Bell. I must admit, I wasn't aware of their work, and I do like the song. The song's great. It's real cool. But the dancing is just great, and as I say, you just looked to be. You didn't look as if you were unwilling. You looked as if you were just giving it everything, man. You just went for it, which is cool. It's so good.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you one little tidbit about my dancing. I was in Memphis one time. This must have been 3 or 4 years ago, and a friend and I went to this place called Memphis Sounds, and it was at the time. I think it's moved since, but it was at the time it was underneath the Econo Lodge, which is not a fancy. It's like, I mean, you're paying like $5 to sleep in a room.
Okay. Yeah.
It was underneath the Econo Lodge, and we walked in there. And it was probably about 200, 300 people. And I looked at my friend and I was like, I think we're the only white people in here. And this could be amazing. And the music was incredible. Like, people were dancing, and I did a lap around the place, and I was like, indeed, we are the only 2 white people in here. Just the best night of our lives. And I go over and I start dancing on the. There was a little dance floor, and I hear somebody behind me go, "Oh, he got different moves, different moves." And I turned around, and this lady was like looking at me and dancing. I was like, I went up and I started dancing with her, and so now I wish I could remember her name, but she kind of she explained my dance moves. In one sentence, he got different moves.
Yeah, different moves. There's a compliment there. There's definitely.
Actually, I might be at the show in Manchester in May.
Yeah.
I don't know how close that is to you.
So in May, we're up in Scotland, so it's a bit of a drive, but yeah, in May. So what are you coming over to do in May? Then are you doing?
Well, I'm going to be in. I'm going to be in Romania for about a month.
Okay.
Doing film, and then my love mission in LA. She's a British lady.
Gotcha.
And so I'll probably be over there.
Well, let's maybe let's try and arrange something. That would be cool. That would be really good. I'll get Zach.
You could teach us some dance moves.
I wonder if they're playing in Scotland. But anyway, I'll find out.
Yeah, well, something like that. That'd be cool.
you should go see a show. They are an amazing live band.
I was saying, well, Zach and I were talking before we were talking to you, because I sent the link, and I think it was Friday when I sent the link to Zach. I said, man, you've got to see this. This is so cool. This is really good. And you and Zach kind of replied to me, and we both agree we like the song. So I'm going to check out the rest of the stuff, because I haven't really heard much of theirs at all. So as long as maybe you promise to get up on stage, you've got to do that. I mean, that's...
I will for sure. They're in Manchester and Dublin. I don't know. I'm gonna try. If I can stay over there and go to shows, I will.
Okay, all right, yeah, sure. I mean, the Manchester one would be quite a good one to go to. Actually, we could make that one. Can we talk about Ozark for a little while, just very quickly, because I know Zach's been watching it, haven't you, Zach? You've been watching the series. You've been catching up with it. Yeah. Is it true that you were originally up for a different part for that? Because you played the part of Russ Langmore and and so forth. Was that did I read correctly that you went for a different part and you got this?
No, that's actually on Outsider.
Okay.
I read for a different part.
Gotcha. Right.
Okay. Yeah, Russ was kind of that was what I auditioned for from the start, and I really just wanted to get out of town. I auditioned for it a couple of days before. I couldn't get arrested for a job or anything. And a buddy of mine was doing a press tour for a film, and he had just said, "I've got a trip for you if you want to go." And I was like, "I'm broke. I can't get a job.
Yeah.
For anything. Like, let me get out of town." And I ended up finding out in the middle of the trip that I got a job. Sometimes it's best to just like leave, just say, "I'm done."
Were you aware?
Yeah, but I didn't. When I got it, I didn't know the whole arc of Russ.
That's what I was just about to ask. That were you aware of his arc for in terms of his sexuality and all? That was kind of just you had nothing to start with then when you first got the role.
Yeah, no, I didn't know, and it was. I thought he was some redneck who, was out in the Ozarks, and when I did find out through somebody else in the cast.
Yeah.
Who had said, yeah, I hear you got some. Looks like you got some Brokeback action coming up, and well, I hadn't read I wasn't getting the scripts ahead of time, and I ended up asking the showrunner the next day.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard somebody said something about this, and he was like, "Let's go talk." Yeah, you should. But it was, I was just excited because I was like, wasn't the turn that I was thinking was coming.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a fun little journey to play with that. So.
And it was, because I mean, when I watched it again just not so long ago to catch up, with it, and you don't see it coming. It is one of those things that's kind of like it's if you didn't know, then we're not going to know either. It is there's nothing hinted until it took place. I mean, obviously the other thing from that is the clip which kind of went viral, I think, at the time, and since with you playing the excerpt of the song, the man who was it Man Who Sold the World, the old boy song. So. And that's great, and and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I'm generally, but I really love the version. I think the voice is great.
Nailed it.
It's great, isn't it, Zach? Yeah, it's just it's a beautiful clip. How did that arrive? That particular, was that your idea to the actual sing, or was it in the script? How did that come around, that section where you're just on the acoustic guitar singing?
No, it wasn't my idea. Chris Mundy, who's the showrunner on Ozark, used to be a writer for Rolling Stone.
Right.
And he toured with, he went around with Nirvana when they were playing, and I guess he was just a big fan of that song.
Yeah.
And there's a lot in that song that could mean many different things to
Yeah.
different people. And he wrote it in, and I was nervous as hell.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was. I mean, it's such an iconic song, you know, like, and especially, you know, Nirvana's version is probably the most well known. But then you also have to take into account that you're covering a Bowie song.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it ended up. I play it now all the time. I love it. It's good. I did a recording of it a couple of years ago that I ended up I wasn't fully happy with. There was I found where I like to play it now.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other side of this wall here. I'm hopefully going to record it next week.
Nice. I was going to ask you if you'd recorded any of it, because I mean there was quite a big reaction at the time, wasn't there, from people? I think you put it on your Twitter page and you got a lot of reaction from it.
Yeah, you know, kind of get hounded on Twitter or whatever. Like, where's the cover? Where's the cover? Now, I literally was traveling for almost a year and a half. I mean, I would come back to New York for a few days, but it just wasn't what was, you know, like when I came home, I just wanted to like chill out, and I really haven't had time to do it. Now, I've talked with this guy that lives in the building next to me. He has this incredible studio that they like gut renovated this place, and he's got an incredible studio, so I'm going to go record it with him. But yeah, I somehow it came out. It didn't suck.
That's a good way of describing it. If it doesn't suck, then everything else is kind of like a bonus.
It could be good.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I mean, as I say, I'm not just saying this because when I heard it the first time, when I first saw Ozark, I thought it was really cool. You know, it's really great, and it was just such a kind of organic scene. It was kind of beautiful. It was a beautiful scene.
Well,
you know,
and that scene, it also, like Charlie, who plays Wyatt. I've watched that scene.
His face is great, isn't it? His reaction is just.
He's. I love that guy, just as a person. But
yeah.
I love watching him in that scene. He's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, his reaction is just beautiful. The way, and then where it kind of like sings with you a wee bit as well. It's so cool. So in terms of so The Outsider, obviously, there was. Oh no! Before I talk about that, I saw you in a film recently, which was it's on Netflix at the moment, which caught me totally by surprise. I didn't even know that. I don't even know if it was on your IMDb page. Every Time I Die, which is about. Oh, come on then! Why? Why the hand over the face? Come on.
I don't know. I don't know how it turned. I haven't seen it yet. It's one of those. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. So I will leave it to anybody else.
Well, to be honest, me and Zach liked it. I saw it for the first time just a couple of days ago, and I think it had only just come on Netflix. Which it's a supernatural kind of thriller type thing. I mean, when you were making it, did it? I mean, it's an indie film, so obviously it's quite a low budget. So, did you feel at the time it was for the interest of the work, or was it something you felt was good at the time, or did you just not know when you were filming it what it was going to be like?
Well, I mean, it was kind of a bizarre script, and I think a lot of times, like when I read something that I am curious about, like I just kind of want to. At that time, the dates for that film fit right in with what I was doing, and I was like, it's interesting, and I'll, why don't we give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
That being said, I had no idea how it turned out. It was a great. I mean, the cast and crew were great. I don't love watching myself.
I was going to ask you that. Are you one of, I think when we spoke to Yul Vasquez a couple of weeks ago, he said the same thing, that he can't watch himself back very much. Are you one of those, and you simply cannot watch it back, even just to measure your performance? Is it just a case of I can't watch myself?
I will watch, but I have to watch it by myself.
Right.
I mean, there's certain, I've had a couple of, I went to Sundance this year for the first time, had a film there, and then I had a film at Mammoth Film Festival, which was just, I don't know, a little over a week ago. And I did watch those films with an audience, but I had to watch them, I made them send me a link first, just so I could, so I knew what I was getting into. But I remember I did this movie called, what was it? Oh gosh, it was about a sex therapist. She's Lost Control.
Okay.
And they wouldn't show it to me beforehand, and it premiered at South by Southwest. And I watched it with an audience for the first time, and I literally sat like this. I was just waiting. I was looking for the moment where I could just run out of the theater. I need to see, like, I need to watch the performance first and come to terms with it and be like, you need that wasn't true. Whatever I need to talk to myself about before I see it with anybody else. Yeah, it's a little, it's tough to watch.
No, I mean, Every Time I Die is a fine film. I enjoyed it. I think you liked it as well, Zach, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's a nice little twist, and once you get into what takes place, then once, no spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it, but it's looking at death, and again you play kind of a guy that's got a bit of a history. I think you're recovering from suicide attempt and that sort of thing. So you're a bit of a kind of like a guy that's recovering from sort of a past problems, past trauma, and so forth.
Yeah.
And then I think there is one scene when you're wandering around naked as well. I don't know if you remember which was standard. It's a fine film.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
That wasn't the one. There was a. I think I did have like a sock on or something. There was a short film I did a while back.
A short film or a short sock?
I'm gonna let people judge that on their own.
It was a cold day, mate. Don't worry. It was just a cold day. Just go with that. It was.
Yeah. Cold, man. I did this short film, and there was this scene where I was supposed to be naked, and they give you the thing you put on.
Yeah.
And I remember that when this one shot they were doing, I was like, I don't know how they're gonna make this work, because they're gonna see the dog. Second take, director came in, he was like, hey, we're kind of seeing we're seeing that thing on you. We mind just like do it naked? And I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And then I did. It was the first time I've ever done anything. Well, when it was the first time was very quick, but like that time,
yeah,
I had to do an entire scene in a kitchen with crew all around and just me running around bare naked,
buck naked.
After the initial shock of it, I was like, whatever, they've seen it now. Like, we're gonna just let's just keep doing it. I'll just walk around and dark people naked.
In terms of so what? Very quick before I talk about The Outsider, then. So, what's a more difficult thing, filming naked or dancing in the video? What was the easiest of the two?
Dancing in the video is definitely easier.
Maybe next time they can combine the two.
Yeah, maybe. Um, in terms of the outsider, so obviously, I'm guessing. I kind of asked you before. I don't think I gave you the chance to answer. How big has the impact been for you in terms of walking the streets and people coming up to you for the outsider? What? How big has it been for you personally?
Um, yeah, I oddly, with I've got this beard on right now, but people still like recognize me somehow. I don't
Yeah,
know how, but they do. It's been great though. I mean, I feel like the response has been great,
yeah,
and uh, it's kind of nice to hear people say, "Hey, are you in that show?" Because then like people are watching it.
yeah,
And if they don't come up and just like slap me in the face, then
yeah.
maybe we're doing an all right job.
Well, that's the
Uh,
interesting thing about the character, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously, he's a he's doing some bad things, and is one of the monsters in the show, I guess, in a way. And you've got all these things that the character's done, but yet it's still people still kind of it's still likable. Still people still empathic towards him, and I think it could have easily been. Zach and I have said this when we've done the podcast ourselves. Um, your character, this character is. It could have been quite. I think it's probably the most difficult part in the show. So it could have been done in a very. It could have been overdone, but people I think are real sympathetic to how you portrayed it. Did you find it difficult yourself to kind of find that sympathy and empathy for it yourself? Was it important that you were looking for that sort of thing?
no, I mean, I read the book before we started shooting,
Yeah,
and I found Jack very funny and crass, and just you know, he was this asshole who you kind of like. I liked him,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I did know that I was going to be playing the guy. But as you know, I think what was important to me was to, instead of playing this broad idea of this character, was just to find like what has made him this. The first time that Jack's introduced, when he's out hunting, and he's I love like Jason. Jason, he was like, hey, he's like, I decided to drop the ER just for another thought, and which I thought was brilliant. It sounds a little better, just motherfuck, not motherfucker, mother. And
That's a great impression.
that is not perfect, man. That's pretty cool.
but that I think that moment said a lot to me about like, you're like, why is he this way? Why is he?
Yeah,
You and then he goes to the bar and he's like starts complaining about his days off, and I guess what really like came to me was, I was like, there's a reason that Jack is this way. And I knew I had read some of the as much as I could,
yeah,
the scripts that were out, and I just I was like, I've got to find out what part, like what it was from Jack's past that's made him this just kind of dick to
yeah,
people. And I think in finding that and working with those, you find there was the stuff with his mother and PTSD and whatnot, and as funny as it is to read that and like watch certain things of it, there's something real. There has to be something real,
yeah.
and anybody that has any of those problems is gonna like have some real deep sorrow in their lives. And I think that was just kind of important for me to bring this asshole to life, to find the full spectrum of why he is that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. I kind of didn't want to hide that or shove it away.
You said that a few months ago that you originally went for a different part. Can we say what part was it that you went for originally for The Outsider?
Yeah, Jeremy Bobb beat me out.
What a gay.
He's so good in the show. Man.
He's really again with Zach and I have said that it's one of those rare shows where there isn't a weak link at all with any of the cast. It's a really cool ensemble piece, isn't it? Even sort of lesser characters are just amazing, really well cast.
I was like beside myself when I found out who else was in the show, and then I was like, I can't believe I get to work with these people, and then I realized that I get to work with. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I worked with Ben and Cynthia, and then I was like, oh, but I don't get to work with Bill. I don't get to work with Jeremy, Julianne, Yule.
Yeah.
Everybody else. But fortunately, we did get to cross paths a lot, and I got to know those guys and gals, and yeah, it was such a stellar cast. I'm thrilled that I got to be a part of something that they were.
Did you feel as if you had to be a little bit separate though? With the character that you're playing, you mentioned about being in the character and all that stuff. Did you feel as if you could sometimes not mix with them because of the character you were playing? Were there days when you kind of kept yourself apart?
No, when it came to them, I was totally fine. It was just there were like other. I don't know. It's kind of weird. There were other parts of my personal life that I couldn't deal with properly.
Yeah.
But like when I saw them, I think because I was kind of starstruck by all these people I got to work with. I was like, oh hey, let's be friends. But yeah, and then I don't know if, you've seen episode 9. So
yeah, we're up to date. It's the last one, I think, this weekend, isn't it?
Jeremy Bobb ended up getting the.
I know.
He got the wrath up.
You son of a gun, you.
That damn part.
So obviously you can't tell us then what happens in episode 10, or else you probably get into trouble. So I suppose we're gonna have to wait until like tomorrow, Monday, over here in the UK. So yeah. So you can't spill the beans.
It's a fun ride, 10 is.
I saw a picture actually recently. I think it was at the premiere of The Outsider, with you having your picture taken with Lena Headey, who was Queen Cersei in Game of Thrones. You looked very pleased with yourself having your picture taken.
She was a very, very, very sweet girl.
Yeah, I've been in love with her for quite a while since, so I saw that picture. I thought, oh no, you son of a gun. He's also had his picture taken with her as well, How lucky can a man be? She was actually born not far from where I come from, so down in England.
Oh, really?
So about sort of 10 miles away. We kind of probably went in similar circles when we were kids, And look where we are now.
Where are you from originally?
So we're originally from England. We're originally from Yorkshire in England. I don't know if you know Yorkshire, but sort of like Leeds, Halifax area, sort of central, sort of northern England. But we've been up here in Scotland for about 10 years now, so
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's the future holding for yourself then? What are your plans for post The Outsider? What's going to be happening with you next?
Well, I'm starting this film. It's a thriller for Netflix. I'm going to Cleveland here today, and then I think we're there for like a week and a half or two, and then go to Romania.
Yeah.
For a little over a month.
Okay.
Never been to that part over there, so I'm excited to see it.
It should be cool, especially this time of year as well, because it's springtime coming up, and that should be really nice. Should be cool. And then Manchester, Maybe
Yeah.
in May.
Maybe go to Manchester for
Yeah.
the Lone Bellow show.
Oh, nice, nice.
Uh,
Listen, before
and
we
then, and then I don't know. There's something that's like still in the mix
Right.
that would be a very exciting.
which you can't
Yeah.
talk about, I assume. Can you?
Talk about it. Sign that NDA. But oddly enough, signing the NDA, I don't know anything about the project. I just know who is making the project,
Right.
and I think that's what I can't say.
Right.
It's like
Okay.
who that.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that is so that's I can see in your face you really want to say it, but you can't. I know you can't, and you know you've started.
Yeah. Well, if it comes to be, then we'll get back on one.
All right, man. That'd be cool. That'd be so cool. Listen, before we finish, we've got a few sort of questions for you. We did a little bit. We did this with Yul, where we asked some questions about you. So whether or not you actually know a little bit about yourself, we'll find out how much you know about Marc Menchaca now. We'll see how it goes. So have you got some questions out? Did you have them, the ones that were...
I have some, yes.
Yeah, well, I think we've got about half a dozen. Now, we did this with Yul, as I say, and Yul failed miserably, knowing about himself. He was rubbish, wasn't he? We said this to him. He knew about his I think he remembered his wedding anniversary, which was good. But apart from that, he was rubbish. So go on, Zach, give us one of the questions that you've got there.
Okay, doc. In the film Generation Kill, you played Gunnery Sergeant Mike Gunny Wynn. What was the vehicle that you drove?
Full name of the vehicle that you drove in Generation Kill.
Oh.
This is not looking good, Mr. Menchaca. This is not looking good.
It was a Humvee 4 command vehicle.
Yeah.
There you go. Look, so
There we go.
there you go. Right? So in the film, we mentioned the film Every Time I Die. Okay. You get up to sing a karaoke song with the two sisters in the film. What was the song that you got up to sing?
Fail. I failed. No, I have no idea.
It was Recollections of My Life by the Marmalade. So, you know, 2 out of 2. Come on, Zach, give us a third one. Give us a third one.
This is an easy one.
Yeah, this will be easy.
According to IMDb, how many acting credits do you have?
I 60.
Oh,
It was close. 65.
65. So that's close. I think we'll let you have that one. Just out of sympathy more than anything else. According to Rotten Tomatoes, your highest rated work is what? Do you think?
My
Highest rated Rotten Tomatoes. So the Rotten Tomatoes website. What is your highest rated work? Do you think?
Ozark.
Nope. It's 100%. It's either, and this is critics' ratings. Every Time I Die, funnily enough, or a film which I haven't seen as yet. #like it's called. 2019.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a very high rating. There you go. No, Ozark's about 80%, so Ozark's pretty much up there. I think The Outsider's even higher. The Outsider's about 90%. Zach, have you got one more question? You got another one?
So you played the part of Walter Mills in Raising Dion. Now, you wore a jacket at that time, and the makers of the jacket have actually named it after your character. Would you have any idea how much that jacket would sell for?
Probably about maybe a few dollars higher than they could get it.
It's called the Marc Menchaca Raising Dion jacket, and it's on a website. I saw it the other day. It's based upon the one that you wore in, I think, the episodes that you're in that. It's selling for $139 at the moment. So, you know.
So make sure you get a cut of that.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get my managers on that. Hey, can you?
Finally.
You know what's funny about? I wonder if I can. So in that scene, I don't know if you've seen Raising Dawn.
Yeah, I've seen Raising Dawn. Yeah.
There was, so I in the scene I go out and I realize what's happening.
Yeah.
And I told the first, I went up to the first AD and I was like, because they were like, all right, we got it, and I was like, hey, can I get one more? And she was like, sure. I was like, yeah, I want to try one thing. And I don't know, it's going to take me forever to find it, but this was kind of at the, when the whole, like, it was during this sensitive time that we're in.
Yes.
But I was like,
yeah.
I just need to do this. And I went in the house and I got the hair and makeup girl and the wardrobe. I was like, help me get everything off. So I took all of my, I took everything off except for, I left my mic on and I had my boots and my underwear. And they're like, and action. And I came out and there's this they sent me a video of like all 4 screens. Yeah. And I came out in without any clothes on, just my underwear and my boots. And I was calling for Braden, and the people all of a sudden, like, they realized what was happening and everybody started cracking up. And it was for some reason like the best Friday icebreaker could have happened, and nobody got offended. And I was like, we're good. But it was hilarious. The video is so funny.
Well, if you don't mind, maybe you could send that me. That'd be cool to see that. That'd be cool.
I'll find it and email it to you.
There's one last question in terms of you and your career. So we talked about the music video, the Lone Bellow, where you do dance magnificently to Time's Always Leaving. What is the name of the building where you finish on the dance floor? Because you finish at the end and you're on this dance floor. What building is that you finish in?
VFW in East Nashville.
It's what? Sorry.
The VFW in East Nashville, the Veterans of Foreign War.
Well, that's probably I've got the American Legion post 82, so it's yeah.
Oh yeah, American Legion. American Legion and VFW are they're kind of in the same boat. Yes, it is American Legion.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe we'll kind of give you that one. Maybe
we can go half a mark.
We could go half a mark on it.
It's called VFW in different places.
All right. Okay. You got yourself out of that one. That's cool.
It's Nashville one. Which is a great place to go if anybody's in Nashville on Tuesday nights. Go to the American Legion and you'll see some like amazing musicians that just show up, and some of the best musicians that are there.
Yeah.
Will show up, and actually this guy Hugh Bob Masterson was a friend of the Lone Bellows that I know. He's kind of the one that started it. He went to him and he was like, hey, can I maybe come here and play on Tuesday nights? And now it's like the place where everybody goes on Tuesday nights. And
nice.
You have Sandy back behind the bar who's been there for 40 years, and you're buying the drinks are like ridiculous. They're like $2 or something. It's like a cheap place to go. All these, it's like hipster Nashville goes on Tuesday nights, and you get to see some of the best musicians there. It's a cool.
Sounds cool. That sounds cool. Listen, mate. We're taking a lot of your time, and I know you've got to rush off in maybe an hour or so to catch your plane and Cleveland and all that stuff. Thank you again for giving up and moving the time for us and being really accommodating. It's been a blast to talk to you. Zack and I have been...
Before we finish...
Oh, go on then.
We have had a question from a fan of the show.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
This person claims that you know them, Mark. And what they've asked is if you have ever had a lunch date that lasted from 1 p.m. till midnight.
Yes.
Do you know who asked that question? Without incriminating yourself, possibly.
Well, a very good friend in South Africa named Gene that happened with.
This sounds like it.
This is from Yul Vasquez.
This is Yul Vasquez that asked this one. So that.
Yes, Yul was one of them. I was trying not to. I thought of that one, but I wasn't thinking of Yul. That was there, and yes, I one of the best lunch dates I've ever had was with Yul. It was at the Ladybird Cafe in Atlanta.
Cool. I mean, I messaged him last week. I said, look, we've got Mark on the show. Give me a question for him. And that's what that was his question. Has he ever had a lunch date that went from 1 till midnight?
That was my first. I thought of that first, and I was like, I'm gonna do that because I was going to a lunch in South Africa that I had that happened.
Okay, well, this sounds like this is kind of a regular thing for you, man, just to have these long lunch dates, so, you know.
You meet good people, and then why let it in? Just let it going.
All right, listen, we will let you go now. Thank you again for joining us. I mean, hopefully we'll get to maybe see you in May. If not, certainly do another one of these again. If you're up for it, we can talk again.
Yeah,
and then maybe next time you can tell us about this non-disclosure agreement person. Maybe it might be known by this point, so maybe you could say something then. All the best, man, and thanks again for joining us, and